Alrighty, what's up, guys? I am back because we have some news in chess. Magnus Carlsen resigned against Hans Niemann today as a form of protest. I'm saying that because if we take a look at the game, Hans was white, Magnus was black, it went d4, knight f6, c4, and Magnus resigned. Yes, you can make jokes that you hate playing against d4, so you'd resign too, but this is a pretty serious online event. Uh, it's called the Generations Cup. It started off this past weekend. Thousands of dollars in prize money. It's a serious event. So Magnus resigning here has some serious consequences. It affects the field. It affects the standings. I can tell you how it works. There's 16 players. You play everyone. So you play 15 games, one against each player. The top 8 from the preliminary stage advanced to the knockout stage. So Magnus could still play Hans. They could both make the top 8 and end up playing a 4-game match against each other in the knockout stage. But if I was, so there's some serious prizes here, and this tournament just started, and you might be wondering, well, why is there an event with both Magnus and Hans Niemann? The reason they're both in it is this is part of the Champions Chess Tour. I actually play a lot of the events myself. And there's rules and qualifications. And Hans qualified for this event by finishing top 8 in a previous event. And Magnus also qualifies. And it's even been named after Magnus before as well. So Magnus is in the events. It's part of his company. He's played in the past few years. He's been winning it most of the time. Hans is, the young teenage sensation earning a spot, and the organizers even posted something this week and were like, look, he qualified fair and square. We didn't detect anything on our end, so we're going to keep him in the event. And Magnus was playing anyways. So they were due to clash, and they did clash today in the pairings, and I think a lot of people were wondering when they were looking at the pairings and when this was announced, what was going to happen. To me, there was only a few options, and what Magnus did by resigning or forfeiting is completely expected. I expected it because I didn't think the other things were likely. What were the options? I think if you're in Magnus's shoes and his perspective, where you feel pretty strongly about it, well, you can come out and say something, but that hasn't happened at all, and there's probably different reasons for that, even lawyers, etc. B, you can just play the game as usual, but why would you do that? If Magnus were to just play against Hans, that undermines his original protest in my eyes. Like, you feel so strongly to quit an event and forfeit the game, and that's an over the board event. And your opponent is someone who, at least online, has a pretty bad reputation and has cheated in the past. Well, you're not going to go play them in an online game then, right? So if you're in Magnus's shoes, I don't think you're going to play Hans. You're not making a statement, or that's not likely, and it hasn't happened yet. So option 3 is that you play the event and just resign or forfeit. It's not a good look. I mean, there might be an option 4 where it's like, okay, if you know you're going to be in the event, withdraw from the event. That's another one, but as I mentioned like a minute ago, it's a little bit tricky there because it's pretty much the Magnus Chess Tour. He doesn't pick the players. He doesn't pick the field. They have the separation. They have a tourney, tour director, all that stuff. But, he's invested in the company, the Play Magnus company, which runs the event. So there's a bit of a conflict there. You can understand it's a little tricky. It's a delicate situation. It's an awkward situation because I don't know if it's still the case, but Chess24 or the company was sponsoring Hans or inviting Hans as like the Play Magnus wildcard or something. I don't know if that's still the case, but there's definitely some awkward blurred lines there where I think people don't know what to do. So you had the 4 options, and if Magnus isn't going to withdraw from events where Hans is playing in, then I did think he was going to forfeit or resign. So to me, that was very predictable. What you think should have happened, what you would do, always up for debate. I did think it made a lot of sense. I think if he has strong conviction, which I think he does have strong conviction, and I believe that because he's never done this before, up until the Sinquefield Cup, that Magnus really does think, you know, Hans is up to something or has done something in the past that makes it unbearable to play against him. If you have that strong of a belief, yeah, you shouldn't play Hans 2 weeks later as if nothing happened. So that's why it's not surprising at all for me. But it is big news. It is really big news, not just because of the chess drama, but because the tournament they can still play, and it really does undermine the event a bit, right? Like you take a look at this event, a lot of money at stake, 25k first prize, 150k prize fund, but that's a free win against Magnus that Hans gets. That's going to really help him qualify, and other players are going to play against Magnus, who's probably even more motivated to beat them than before because he's giving up a free game against Hans. So it definitely makes you know, as of right now, Hans is really benefiting from it. He gets money from the game, points to qualify to knockout, and everyone else in the field is like, hey, like this isn't right. If you're a player in the field, like it brings the integrity, it questions the integrity of the entire event. So, and it's not done yet because yeah, they could still play again. So we're definitely not, this isn't getting resolved. Like you resign like this, you're kind of doubling down on your stance, but there are consequences. There's consequences in the event, and we're going to just continue to speculate even further. One of like the first reactions, where I get a lot of my info from, is from a Norwegian chess journalist, Tarjei Svensson. If you're on Twitter, he's probably a good guy to follow. He tweeted here, Carlsen's not giving any interviews during the tournament. That's unprecedented. Magnus is huge in Norway, a really big name. They cover the events on actual television, so not Twitch, not YouTube, like actual TV, the main channels. This event is on there, and it popularizes the game. So he always gives interviews, like, I mean, at some point during the events, because like that's part of chess in Norway is Magnus. It's synonymous with Magnus, and he usually gives interviews in Norwegian, and people are watching on their couch at home. And he's not giving any interviews at all. So that's not normal. That's not standard. So that was a new development. So we're not going to get any. That just means Magnus isn't going to say anything, right? So if you're wondering, oh, Magnus he resigned, he's probably going to come out with something. Well, if he's not giving interviews, he's probably coming out with nothing. He doesn't want to say anything. That's not going to change for the next week. Immediately when this happened, by the way, we can watch together if you want to see what happened, like from the commentator's perspective, because I don't know if the organizers knew this was going to happen. I don't know if the commentators knew this was going to happen or the other players. I don't know who knew ahead of time, but if we want to see the live reaction.
D4 because this is his.
This is when the game started.
Move. D4, knight f6, c4. Yeah, definitely. And what? No.
What happened?
So just right there, it changed 1-0. It says he lost. Magnus resigned. Right there. So it happened. He just what he did is Magnus came to his computer, played a move, resigned.
What?
No.
And now he actually just turned his webcam off and most likely logged off the server. So I guess the one thing I didn't necessarily know is that he'd actually play a move and resign. In the Sinquefield Cup, he didn't show up. So I think by playing a move and resigning, it was an indication that he intends to play this event, but he's just not going to play against Hans. So he's still going to show up to each game, going to play each game, but against Hans, he's going to resign. But he's not going to withdraw from the event. The Sinquefield Cup, he withdrew from. And remember, like Magnus has had a couple of weeks to think about this. So whatever decision happened today, he's thought about this for a couple of weeks. The field was announced ahead of time. And so this was not just some random event. Some random decision. He's thought about it. He knew about it ahead of time. This was his choice. And yeah, maybe you have to play move to resign. I think that happens in a lot of servers in chess. you can't resign without playing a move. You have to play at least one move before you can resign. So maybe that's why he did it. Because if he didn't do it, then the clocks wouldn't start and they'd just be like waiting for him for like 30 minutes. Sometimes the clocks don't start until both players move, stuff like that. So that the commentators here, this is Tanya and Peter on the Chess24 broadcast, organizers of the event. They seem pretty shocked.
What happened?
So that was live. I would like to think if people knew ahead of time, I don't know what you can do. Even if you know ahead of time that it might happen, as the organizers, what do you do? Because everyone has to play everyone. It's a round robin. That's the format. You can't alter the pairings. You know, in chess, generally, people are very, very against altering the pairings. It makes sense. That questions the integrity of the event. And the only times when it really happens is some geopolitical stuff. There's been it with Iranian players. And they've also had it, I don't know, like Armenia, Azerbaijan. It's always geopolitical related, where it's like you don't want someone's like safety to be at risk because of your chess pairing. But like this isn't that situation. And this is a round robin. That format, everyone plays everyone. Especially Magnus is like the hardest player in the field. You can't really take him out of the equation for just one player, not for everybody. So the reaction seems pretty genuine to me. I don't know about you guys. So I think it was, at least for most players, most people involved, fairly unexpected. Although I do think if you're analyzing it and I gave out the options, there's a very real possibility this was going to happen. Because I said, Magnus is not going to withdraw from the Sinquefield Cup like 2 weeks ago if he didn't strongly believe in it. He didn't just do it on a whim. He's got a team. He's got people around him. He's got a company. He's got people to talk to, consult with. And they feel very strongly about whatever their suspicions are. And not enough that it's just going to be, 2 weeks. He's not like 2 weeks. He thinks something's happening and 2 weeks later he doesn't. No. This is doubling down. So that's what happened today. They could still play later in the tournament. So we're going to keep our eyes out, right? We're going to keep our eyes out for that. And now what I was going to do is just kind of recap what's happened in the last week to add more context to the current situation. Because Hans has not said anything since the Sinquefield Cup, as far as I know. Magnus also hasn't said anything. So in the last week, all we've had is a lot of speculation from the world and then a little bit of info from people involved. So first things first. By the way, before that, I was going to say, this is already on the news in Norway. Wait, where's the article? There it is. Norwegian newspaper. You got some stuff here. Carlsen lost on purpose against Niemann. Completely unacceptable. Articles are being posted. I'm sure in Norway, even though he brought, Magnus is a chess god in Norway, a lot of people aren't necessarily happy with what's happening. One of those guys is Magnus's former second national team member, Jon Ludvig Hammer. He commentates on chess for the national television. He's a GM and a former second for Magnus at the World Championship level. He's saying that Magnus should be sanctioned. It's completely unacceptable to lose on purpose. It's the most unsportsmanlike thing you can do in a competitive sport. So he's asking for sanctions. He's saying it is the most unsportsmanlike thing you can do. So pretty strong statements. And I definitely this can't go on. You can't have people losing on purpose. That needs to be resolved. That is the worst result for everyone involved. That's for everyone involved. You can't have an actual tournament and that happens. And it's not really a tournament. But that's a statement coming from Norway, from Jon Ludvig Hammer, he's the chess expert on television that they bring in. So probably hundreds of thousands of Norwegians are hearing that. Oh, he said it's sanctionable. Okay. I'm just reading the chat here. I'm just reading this tweet. Sanctionable. So, but he's definitely not happy with that. So that's some internal stuff. Sinquefield Cup, that finished. a week ago, approximately, and the organizers released a statement. I'm going to read part of it out loud. In response to the recent rumors circulating the chess world, I can confirm that we currently have no indication that any player has been playing unfairly in the 2022 Sinquefield Cup. This includes all rounds played to date. So that means that includes the first few rounds, and then when there wasn't as much security, and then the latter half of the event where they implemented the 15-minute delay and they increased the electronic detection, right? So that was released around the end of the event. They're saying they didn't see any wrongdoing. That's from the, I mean, I don't see how you say there is any wrongdoing, but by publishing the statement, it sounds like they did a thorough search and didn't see anything, and they wanted to make that public. So that came from the Sinquefield Cup officially. Then on top of that, some of the players have given some opinions, right? So one of them is Grandmaster Fabiano Caruana, who played in the event, the Sinquefield Cup, has played Magnus, played Hans. He recently started a podcast with Christian Chirilla, both friends of mine. So definitely check out their podcast on YouTube, C Squared Podcast. And he says he didn't think Hans, as far as I understand, he wasn't suspicious of anything at the Sinquefield Cup. And I think he recorded this podcast right after the event. So that's one of the players giving an opinion, right? So I'm just adding what's happened in the last week or so. So that's from Fabiano and the Grand Chess Tour. And then outside of that, you have the whole world of chess doing a deep dive into Hans Niemann's history, online and over the board, trying to see looking for things, right? So maybe, I don't know, might fit your narrative depending on where you stand, but you'd people trying to prove, people trying to disprove, etc. One example is a Russian YouTuber, Chess Fan MWP. He started analyzing Hans Niemann's online events and some of his over-the-board events. This video is titled something like, a chess.com event in which Hans was cheating but didn't get caught. Because Hans, in his interview in my most recent video, was he said he only did it twice. This video, for example, gives a pretty strong case that he cheated at another Title Tuesday, a money event, and he didn't get caught for that. So that wasn't one of the two instances that I was referred to. On top of that, he has other videos on the channel breaking down over the board games of Hans from the past. And I'm hearing mixed reviews. So I'm hearing mixed reviews. I've had some strong GMs say they looked at the games and looked at this analysis and became more suspicious afterwards. And then there's other players that are like, you know what? I think a lot of those moves were realistic and possible. I have not had a lot of time. I've been actually playing tournaments, online events, have some buddies in town. I've not checked these deeply at all, personally. But you have everyone analyzing, all the keyboard warriors, online. Everyone's checking. Definitely mixed reactions there in terms of the scrutiny. I think there's a Kenneth Reagan. I think he specializes in anti-cheat online. He's an IM. I think he said he's run some numbers and he hasn't found anything suspicious. At the same time, there's a bit of a consensus around the players that Hans is more a lot of players are just finding out now that Hans was cheating online, and as a result, you have quite a few people who are like, look, I'm not sure that I don't necessarily see anything suspicious about the Sinquefield Cup, but I don't like that this guy's been caught cheating a couple of times and that wasn't public, right? Because that's something that really I don't think is just me. It doesn't sit well with most professional players, and it was more than a couple of times, which is one of the issues. So that's what I mentioned in the last video, is if you've been dishonest in your interview, does it undermine some of the other things you're saying? Because how can you just straight up give an interview, this big speech, and just lie about one of the most important parts? Your cheating history. Like, we're not talking about small lies, but like just when you're admitting, yeah. So that's like that's an area where it's like I see a lot of people on like both, like there a lot of the players are like, look, don't see anything suspicious about this Sinkfield Cup, but like I don't like that the guy was cheating online and even doubling, like lying more about that, right? That is something that people want there to be more transparency about. So we have this is Chessfan NWP. I think it's in Russian or whatnot. I don't understand it, so I usually have to like, I can watch the chess parts, but I haven't done a deep dive there. So you have that. You have some other people giving their opinions. I don't know if I saw anything too juicy outside of that. That like nothing's really changed my perspective. Where it's like, look, I'm waiting for more info, and that has to come from, I think, Magnus, personally. But everyone's been investigating the last week. There are a couple other things I wanted to show. Well, first of all, the anal bead theory is like getting viral, even more so than last time. And that's like an example. Well, first of all, I wanted to show this. I'm a little jealous here. Cam's site offers Hans Niemann $1 million to play chess nude to prove he didn't cheat. Strip Chat, an adult webcam site, monthly viewership 400 people, offering $1 million to play live game naked to prove that he didn't use like anal beads. So I asked a bunch of guys, bunch of players, would you do it? And I mean, chess doesn't pay that much money. $1 million and you're just naked. You don't have to do anything outside of being naked. You don't have to do anything with the chess pieces, nothing like that. $1 million, pretty much everyone said they would do it for $1 million. Everyone said yes. But unfortunately, this offer is only for Hans. $1 million to play chess naked to prove he didn't cheat. So I don't know if you responded to this company, but that did happen in the last week, September 15th. I don't know about you. I think most people would take that deal for $1 million. You could even call it artistic. Playing chess naked. I'm pretty sure I've seen like a picture of people playing chess naked before. So it's clearly making its rounds. Something I had to bring up here. There's a Barstool article, right? Barstool, I usually follow it sometimes for some sports, some vlogs. They published it, right? They used it, Chess Grandmaster, blah, blah, blah. But this is my issue. This is my issue with the article. Like, a lot of people covered it. But Barstool here, and at least according to Chess Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura, a set of vibrating anal beads could allegedly be the culprit. They're calling me Hikaru. I don't like. How do you get that confused? I don't like that. I don't know who published that, but that's me in the video. That's not Hickey. That is me. Damn it. You got to get your facts straight. I don't think anybody would get that mixed up in chess. Hikaru's getting everything. Getting the viewers, the ladies, the anal bead theory, getting it first. That's all I'm asking for, is that it originated from our degenerate community. That needs to be, our degenerate community founded it. It needs to be said. On top of that, I guess it made it to like the Late Show, Tonight Show, stuff like that. Stephen Colbert, Trevor Noah. And I was like thinking about it. I was like, nobody's verifying any information. And it's only grown in terms of how it's been in the media in the last week. And it's like, I get it. If I was an editor, if I was a TV show executive, if I was a publisher, and I see the words anal beads and chess and scandal, I have to publish it. Because they know that it's going to get clicks like no other. People outside of chess picturing like this gentlemanly game, old conservative history. These guys are just playing chess with vibrating anal beads. Like just the thought of that is like views. How can you not post that? Like it's like they see one site post it, everyone's posting it. I get it. That's too much. It's like it's like everyone's going to click on that. Everyone's going to laugh at that. And so it's making its way around every media type possible right now. And I get it. So I don't get any credit for that, which is fine, but chess is in the news depending on where you sit. There's the viewpoint that all media is good media, or then some people are like, oh, this is like a stain on our game. I was just having a joke, but chess is in the news again. That is for sure. That's for sure. And on top of that, so we got Hikaru got the credit for the anal bead theory. And now we got these shows. Hans got $1 million offer to play naked. I think he's also been invited to a couple of podcasts. Maybe Lex Friedman, who recently interviewed both the Botez sisters and Magnus. So maybe we're going to see a podcast with Lex there. But on top of that, we have pictures from St. Louis during the Sinkfield Cup that were sent to me. And Magnus, look at this. Hans has an awesome accent. Okay, I disagree with that completely. But my real question is like, were these girls paid or not? When I beat Magnus, I did not have girls like this. I don't know what's going on here. Is Hans actually becoming a sex symbol or picking up a lot of ladies with it? Were they paid? I don't know. I could ask the chat, but we have 4 or 5% female viewership. But does the recent controversy make you more attracted to Hans Niemann? Because I was actually thinking about it. You know, chess is like a bit of a mysterious game for people outside of chess. And then when they see or they hear about anal beads, it starts to give off the impression that maybe chess players are also kinky. So then you think, oh, these guys have sexy brains and they're kinky. I actually could see that people find that more attractive. You start getting like messages, fan mail, stuff like that. Like, oh, they're kinky and they're smart. Oh, like, ooh. So I don't know if this is like these girls is like, you know, whatever, they were paid or not. But I am curious in the YouTube comments, does it make people more attracted to chess? We have 5% female viewership on a good day. Maybe Hans has 95%. Exactly, that's where all of them are. But he's got he's got ladies outside. Hans has cool hair. We love Hans. Yeah, I don't know where this started, but those are pictures from St. Louis. And then you have me. I'm just here talking to you guys. And that's it. That's what's happened last week. So to summarize, Magnus resigned as a form of protest, in my opinion. He might do it again if they get paired in the knockouts. Things are still unresolved, but Magnus is doubling down. He's doubling down, and so it's only going to get spicier. I don't think I missed anything, but that's the current state of affairs in the world of chess. So if you want to follow to make sure that or to keep up to date, there's a current tournament where they're both playing. It's called the Generation Cup on hosted by Chess24. That's ongoing, and I do think I have this feeling they're going to play again. So tune into that if you want. Otherwise, I'll be around waiting for more drama. Then I can make another video like this. And yeah, I think that's about it. Also, it's Monday night. I got the Bills hat. Go Bills. They're playing in a couple hours. The Buffalo Bills in NFL. And yeah. Oh yeah, I'm going to Austria in 2 weeks. I'm playing a chess tournament in Austria for a Norwegian club. It's kind of like the Champions League for chess. Magnus is on that team. Aryan is as well. So we will see. We will see what happens in 2 weeks' time. But I'll be in the thick of things, and I'll be abroad in Europe, reporting live from the scene. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. See you for the next Chess Drama episode.